Welcome to Get Ripped Collectibles.
What is up? What is up? What is up? We are here for week 4. I'm Miami
All
Mike. That is Gator
right.
Dave. How you doing, Dave?
I am well. How about you, Mike? Hopefully you're doing well
I'm
as
good, sir.
well. Good. So we got Gator Dave.
I'm
We got
good,
Miami
man.
Mike in the house. Ready for another week, man. We Gator Dave didn't have a great week last week. Miami Mike did okay. I think things have evened back up, so we're kind of starting with a clean slate now. So do want to remind everyone before we get started, we are at 98 subscribers. We need two more to get to one double knot 100. So I'm sure we'll make that in the next couple of days. So please subscribe to our little YouTube broadcast here, and make sure you hit the like button as well as we move along. New show time 7:30 Wednesdays. We're rolling at 8:30 tonight. A few technical difficulties getting the show on the road, but we are here and we are ready for a week 4. So I do want to mention something. You got that little ticker running at the bottom of the page. Miami Mike got that rolling this year. It's pretty awesome. One thing to note is that those are the games that we're going to be talking about throughout the broadcast. And just so you know, we are starting with UNLV UTEP. So that's the first game, and they're going to go in order just like that as you see streaming across the bottom of the page. So that's good stuff there. So just a quick note on my Florida Gators, Mike. We beat Tennessee, the number 11th ranked team in the nation, and we did okay. Almost scored 30 points and took care of them. I know. You guys won again as well, and it's all good. But we did beat the 11th ranked team in the nation, and we're ranked 25th now, Mike. Woo! So honestly, we got a long way to go. I appreciate it. We got a long way to go. I'm not getting really excited. I'm just kind of talking smack right now because that's all it is at this point. So,
you're allowed to be excited after that one.
Exactly. It's Napier's first real big win. So, and I was there. Got to experience the deafening swamp because it was loud as hell. So, and definitely good times. This week, our teams, again, Gators come in ranked 25th. They are playing Charlotte at the Swamp. 28 points they're getting. Your Miami Hurricanes ranked 20th in the nation, playing at Temple, getting 24 points. So, obviously, we're still in warm-up mode, our teams, hopefully, and next week we'll really start getting into the schedule. So pretty excited about that. I do want to point out one thing about the Gators for all those in the wagering mindset. So the Gators, we've got 2 of our starting offensive linemen that will be suspended in the first half. That's 2, right? There's five offensive linemen. 2 are suspended. Our center is hurt. 3 of 5, no offensive starters will be in the first half. So, and the other thing is our Trey Wilson, our little secret weapon guy, I'm hoping turns out to be like a Percy Harvin. He is not playing. He's injured. So an interesting bet might be to bet the Gators not to cover in the first half because we're going to be a little short. We're going to be playing backup offensive linemen, and I'm not all happy about that. So just a little tidbit before we get this party started, Mike. So,
Yeah, you might be in trouble against Charlotte.
Hey, we got to cover, right? It's all about the betting. It's the points there. 28 points. I imagine the first half is 14, maybe. So I don't know if we'll do that. So
It's probably
You want to
somewhere close. Yeah.
lead us in there, Mike? Let's do
Yeah,
this.
yeah. Let's get started. We'll go UNLV UTEP here to start. UNLV is a -3. It might even be down to a -2.5 at some places. A couple things to note. UNLV quarterback Doug Brumfield, he is hurt. He was limited at practice this week, but the coach said if he's able to go, if he gets cleared, he's going to start. I'm not really worried about it, though. Their backup, Jaden Maeva, he came in, threw for over 260, 2 touchdowns in the win against Vandy last week. UNLV forced 4 turnovers in that game against Vandy, which is kind of leading me to my next thing. UTEP has some turnover problems this year. They committed 3 week 0 versus Jacksonville State. Against Northwestern in week 2, they had another 3. And against Arizona, had another. So they've had a total of 7 through 4 games. I think that fits into what UNLV wants to do on defense. I think they're going to be aggressive. I think they're going to look for some turnovers. Little trend stat here, also, for everybody who likes the kind of the number side of it. Last 3 years, UNLV has gone 9-1-1 against the spread versus non-conference opponents. I did see another stat. Unfortunately, I didn't get it down, or I didn't write it down in time for the show. But it had something to do with UNLV as favorites, and generally they do not cover as favorites. So it kind of counteracts this trend. So don't ever, base your bets or base your picks or your plays just off of trends. They're there to kind of, help you go one way or the other, but that's just something to note. Go ahead and give me UNLV and the money line here, Dave. What say you?
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat there, Mike. UNLV is 2-1. They beat Bryant College. One of my nephews went to that school, by the way. Played a little baseball there. But they obviously did beat Vanderbilt. So their loss was to Michigan. They are, however, 3-0 against the spread. Are UNLV running Rebs. UTEP comes in at 1-3. Their one win was against Incarnate Word. Yes, Incarnate Word. Losses to Jacksonville State, Northwestern, and Arizona. So UNLV's averaging 30 points a contest, 152 on the ground, which is 73rd in the nation. However, they are giving up 440 yards a contest, which puts them 118th in the nation in terms of defense. The Miners ranked 127th in the country, averaging 14 points a game, and allowing 25 points a game, 82nd in the country. I really don't think UTEP's got enough in the tank to make it happen. So give me them running Rebs to cover and basically get the money line on this one, Mike. Running Rebs at the money line.
Right on.
All right. Next up, we go back down to Georgia. We got Georgia Southern at Ball State. So Georgia Southern comes in the game 2-1, wins over the Citadel and that UAB team over there in Alabama. They lost last week to Wisconsin by 21. And if I'm not mistaken, I heard rumor there might have been a few interceptions thrown by the Georgia Southern quarterback. Somebody said like five or six interceptions. So rough day in the air for that team. Ball State's 1-2, losses at Kentucky by 30. To UGA by 42. They did beat Indiana State last week. They're 2-1 against the spread this year. The Eagles are averaging, Georgia Southern Eagles averaging 32 points a game, but they've turned the ball over 10 times already in their 3 games. They're sitting at 75th in the nation in terms of opposing scoring, giving up 23 a game. Ball State comes in 108th in the nation on offense, averaging 20.7 points a game. Not too good. 116th on defense. Not good at all. I mean, I think this one's pretty easy if they don't throw the interceptions that they did the last game. I think Georgia Southern is going to have their way with our friends at Ball State. So give me the Eagles to cover those 7 points.
Yeah, I'm with you, Dave. I got a little bit of a lag also, so if there's a little bit delay, I'm sorry. I don't want to
All right,
run
no
into
sweat.
what you're saying. But yeah, I'm with you. I like Georgia Southern. Last week they played Wisconsin. I did a little late play on Georgia Southern in the first half. We were able to hit that because they were tied at halftime. But man, in the second half they blew it. Quarterback threw 5 interceptions, also had a fumble, 6 turnovers to Wisconsin 0. Tied at halftime 7-7. I know that's one that they want back, and I know it's on their minds in this one. I think he's able to correct that. I think this is kind of the perfect matchup to do it. Give me Georgia Southern, and I think what's going to be kind of a runaway game in this one against Ball State. So I'm with you there.
Awesome. All right. Next up, hey, just a reminder, we got Don is back on. Don Play is New Amsterdam Trust is watching tonight. He came on last year a few times. This isn't my boy Don from Tulsa. This is a different Don. So welcome to the show, Don. Good to have you. And anybody else that's on, give us a shout out. And please remember, guys, give us that subscribe. We need 2 more to hit the 100. Go ahead, Mike. Let's do another.
Just 2 more. Just 2 more. All right. We're going to talk App State, Wyoming next. I'm going to keep this one kind of short and sweet. I'm not going to go too deep on it. I like App State here. I think that they're the better team as long as they don't really get in their own way. Their defense has had a couple of issues in the early games. They've given up a lot of points. If they can correct that, I think this is going to be kind of another one of those that App State could win outright as the dog. The only thing that sort of shocks me or scares me is the altitude out in Wyoming. How does that play a factor third quarter, fourth quarter when these guys are kind of gassed, the big men up front? I think App State's going to be able to get it done. Give me App State. Who you like here, Dave?
All right. So this one was one of those I noodled over, Mike, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So both teams come in at 2-1. App State lost to North Carolina at the end, right? By 6. They beat Garner-Webb and East Carolina. They're 2-1 against the spread. Wyoming,
Second year in a row.
Yes. Yeah, they have played North Carolina tough. Wyoming comes in, 2-point win over Texas Tech. They beat Portland State. At the end of the third quarter, they were with Texas. So they held their own and then gave it up there at the end against Texas.
Yeah.
Wyoming quarterback leads the team 350 yards passing yards, 175 a game. The quarterback for App State, 690 yards passing, 230 a game, throwing 58% completion rate. He's had a couple interceptions and been able to run the ball okay. I think both teams are pretty battle tested at this point, and I went back and forth about it, and I really think that this is going to be a bit of a showdown. And we're gonna see some offense here, a lot more than 42. So I am going over 42.5 points here, Mike. I think that's a pretty good play.
Yeah, I like that play. I like that overplay a lot, actually, because again, that App State defense it's shaky, and you're right.
Yep.
Wyoming's they've had some good games so far this year, so I like that play.
Yep. All right,
sir.
Next game. Next game is Rice at South Florida. So Rice is 2-1 with wins over Texas Southern and Houston. Houston having a tough time this year. They lost to Texas in the first game of the year, 37-10. However, they are 3-0 against the spread. Rice is. UCF comes in 1-2. Their win was over FAMU by 12. They lost to Western Kentucky by 17. And they only lost to Bama last week by 14 points. However, 1-2 against the spread this year. JT Daniels is the quarterback for Rice. Yeah, he's with another team. Hard to believe. He's completing 62% of his passes, 805 yards, not too bad, 8 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Rice defensively is giving up 28 points a game. So the quarterback for USF, Byron Brown, completing 51% of his passes. The Bulls' ground game, however, is averaging 225 points a game, which isn't too bad. And Brown is one of those running QBs, so he's already gotten 275 yards of rushing. USF's allowing 23 points a game. South Florida really relies heavily on their running quarterback, Byron Brown, to do everything offensively. So there's a big push on that poor kid. I think with how they played last week that and they are playing at home, that they're going to be able to take care of business. So I'm going to go with the Bulls and the 2.5 points at home, Mike.
Right on. We got our first showdown here. It's first true showdown here, Gator Dave. I'm awesome. On the flip side. I'm on Rice. Let me tell you why. So first off, this is a trap. This is 100% like stamp it, trademark trap game with this line. There's no reason. The average bettor, the average college football fan is looking at this line and going, why the F is Rice the favorite at South Florida, based off of how South Florida played Alabama last week and almost beat them, right? So do not fall for it, all right? Do not fall for it. Rice's offense is legit. They're putting up 37 points a game. You mentioned it with JT Daniels. Yep, that's right. It's just one game. Don't overreact, because the biggest thing for me is South Florida's passing defense. They are atrocious. They gave up over 300 to Western Kentucky. They gave up over 370 to Florida A&M. They held Bama to 105, 110, somewhere in there. But if you watch that game, and we'll talk about that a little bit later when we're going to talk the Alabama Ole Miss game. I mean, I don't know what Saban was thinking with the whole quarterback thing. I don't know if Milroe was in the doghouse and he was trying to make a statement or a point or whatever, but that blew up in his face. I mean, he almost lost to, I hate to say it, South Florida, one of the worst teams in the country. I mean, that was crazy. That was not Alabama-like. And it's interesting now that he's going to be the starter. Again, I don't want to, we'll talk about that in a minute. Anyway, so other than that game, South Florida's pass defense has looked very, very shaky this year. Like you said, JT Daniels can sling it. This is his 10th team he's been on in 85 years. So go ahead and give me Rice in this conference matchup to go in and kind of sneak one from South Florida, which probably looking a little bit, with their heads down, knowing that they could have beat Alabama. That's kind of, they could have told their grandkids about that, beat Nate Saban. Wasn't able to pull it off, so give me Rice.
All right. I think that's a good shot there, right. Mike. Good shot. All right, next up.
Yeah. All right, so we're going Army Syracuse here. I'll go ahead and lead this one off. Cuse is undefeated in this one, man. They're 3-0. They got one of the top defenses in the nation. They're allowing only 9 points per game right now. Garrett Schrader, another one of those guys like JT Daniels. It feels like he's been there forever. The defense is humming, but they really haven't played anybody if you look at the schedule. They've played Colgate week 1, which is an FCS school. They played Western Michigan in week 2, which Western Michigan is not a good team this year, unfortunately. They're averaging just 17 points per game. And then week 3, they played Purdue, where they kind of just outpowered them in the run game, and Purdue could not get out of their own way. Purdue fumbled 7 times in that Purdue-Syracuse game. They lost 3 of them, so they got 4 of them back, but they put the ball on the ground 7 times. Syracuse ran for over 270, and they ended up winning the game 35-20. Having said all of that, that Syracuse-Purdue game, given all those turnovers, given those rushing yards, I mean, Purdue was right there. Up until 3 minutes left in the game when Syracuse scored that touchdown to go up 2 possessions, it was a one-possession game. Purdue had a chance to win. They were able to throw for over 300 yards. So, leading into my next thing, you know, they face an Army team. They're sitting at 2-1 right now. They've added a little air raid to their playbook. They're not just running the ball anymore. They're coming off a win against UTSA in which they really dominated the time of possession. Army had the ball 44 minutes out of the 60 minutes in that game. And they're still pretty good at running the ball as well. You know, they throw it, but they're still pretty good at running. They had over 250 in that one. They held Houston in a game they played them earlier in the year to just 14 points. That Dana Holgerson offense. This is the biggest thing for me right now with the Army defense is they held Texas State to 13 points. Texas State is averaging 44 points a game right now as an offense, and they held them to 13. Army was able to put up 37 on UTSA. There's talks of Army this week getting an invite to the AAC, the conference we just talked about with Rice in South Florida. Jeff Monken, their head coach, just signed an extension this week through 2027. Give me the Black Knights to cover the 14 at Syracuse and potentially win this one outright. This is a trap game for Syracuse because I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken, I think they have Clemson on deck. Yeah, they have Clemson next week at home. So this could be an easy look-ahead spot for the Qs. Give me Army. Who do you got here, Dave?
So here's the thing, Mike. You need to go back into the archives to last year because Miami Mike liked Army a lot last year, and I believe they got Miami Mike in a lot of trouble last year. Just go dig into the archives and let's go there. So Army 2-1, Syracuse 3-0. Army wins over UTSA and Delaware State.
I'm gonna just because you say that. I'm gonna dig those archives this week.
All right, dig them up, baby. Dig them up.
We're gonna see those Army stats.
They let you down. So they lost to Louisiana Monroe by 4. Syracuse wins at Western Michigan and Colgate, like you said, on the road at Purdue. So Army averaging 35 points a game, quite not too shabby. They're ranked 31st. When it comes to an opponent scoring at 15 points a game. The Orange currently ranked 5th in D1 at 49 points a game. Granted, hadn't been that great a schedule, but Army hadn't played nobody either. Syracuse averaging 542 yards a game, which is 5th in college football. The Orange are conceding 9 points per game, ranked 4th in the nation. I don't think this is a trap game. I think Syracuse is going to be fired up. That coach is been on the hot seat, and I don't have the confidence in Army that you do, Mike. And I'm going to say Syracuse is going to cover. Granted, it's 14 points. I'm not real happy about that, but I think it's going to happen, and they're going to take care of business at home and come out of this thing at 4-0, and everybody thinking they're all that, which we know they're not all that, but they're an okay team. So give me Syracuse in this game, Mark. All right, next up. That's the Memphis fight song, alma mater. So we got Memphis at Mizzou, and I didn't get a chance, I'll be honest with you, but this game I think was supposed to be played in Memphis, and it's being played in Missouri now. So there's probably going to be some pissed off Memphis fans and some of my buddies out there. But here's what we've got.
Interesting.
Both teams entering the contest at 3-0. Memphis has beaten some powerhouses: Navy, Arkansas State, and Bethune-Cookman. They are only 1-2 against the spread this year. Missouri comes in with a big win after defeating the Big 12 champs, Kansas State, last week. Their other wins were against MTSU. That one might ring a bell with you, Mike, last year, but that's okay. And South Dakota. But they are only 1-2 against the spread. So their quarterback came out against Kansas State and got booed by the home team. Ooh, it was ugly, but they could turn around and won that game, so it's pretty awesome. Tigers are averaging 40 points a contest, which is pretty cool. They're sitting at 23rd in college football in terms of opponent scoring. They've only allowed 13.7 points a game. But if you saw that game against Navy, dude, they could have easily lost that game at home. I was not impressed at all. Missouri comes in ranked 72nd in the nation in scoring and 47th on the defensive side of things. So now the other little tidbit of information is that the quarterback for Missouri is in doubt about starting. I think he's going to start. I think his name Brady Cook, I believe is the kid's name. So he got a little banged up in the last game. So there's some doubt about him starting, but I think he is going to start. But let me tell you, the quarterback for Memphis got banged up last year, and he just didn't look that good. So as much as I love my Tigers and my alma mater, give me Mizzou to cover the 6.5 points in this one, Mike. What say you?
All right. I'm on the flip, man. We're on a streak right now. These head-to-heads. We're on the streak.
Three.
I'm on the flip side. Yes, both teams are 3-0. But you look at this Missouri team, they're coming off 2 one-possession wins, like you said, one against Middle Tennessee State and one last week against Kansas State, which in that game, I don't know if you had a chance to watch it, but Kansas State did everything in the world but win the game. In terms of, they made a lot of mistakes and errors on their part. It just shouldn't have happened. Also, there's this guy that plays for Missouri. His last name is Burden, and he is a burden to defenses. That dude is an absolute baller. He will be playing on Sundays. I think the biggest thing for me right here is Missouri's coming off of that emotional win last week against Kansas State. They rushed the field. The coach damn near cried in the post-game interview. I don't know if he's still aware he still has a long season to go ahead, but it was ugly. Coaching, players, decisions, they had false starts at the end. They should not have won. The kicker kicked, of course. I just want to say this, and then we can move on from it, all right? A little PTSD bringing up this Kansas State team from last week because we had them on the show. This kicker... longest kick in SEC history. Of course, it's on the side that we weren't. So just to point that out, I'm salty. And maybe for that reason, I'm also going against Missouri here. So give me the Tigers to get it done, to cover, potentially win outright here. All right. Moving on. We're going to go to, I want to shout out Ian real quick in the chat. What's up, buddy? We see you. Let me see. Let me pull up my North Carolina. All right, so we're talking North Carolina Pitt next. I think. I hate Missouri. Yes, Ian, I love it. All right, so this North Carolina Pittsburgh game, I really think the story is all about Pittsburgh's offense. If they're going to be able to keep up with North Carolina's offense. Pat Narduzzi's Pitt team does not look like the typical Pat Narduzzi Pitt team. The defense is decent, but when your offense can't stay on the field, how long is that going to last? Jerkovich, I had him being a key transfer for this Pittsburgh team from Boston College when they came in the offseason, and he has just not got it done yet. So the biggest thing for me is, can Pitt's offense keep up with North Carolina's offense? The good news for Pitt is they're going against North Carolina's defense, which is still one of the worst in the nation under Gene Chizik. I have a weird feeling that, this could be tight towards the end. I'm going to stick with my original pick of North Carolina -7. But, I mean, if Djokovic can get it going and they start to use him more as a read option guy, in my opinion, he's a big body. Stop trying to make him throw the ball all the time. And Pitt's got good running backs. So if they could get the ground game going against North Carolina and they can get on them early, it's going to be a game. It's going to be a game to the end. But I think I'm going back and forth. I'm going to stick with North Carolina, minus the 7. But it could be a little sketchy, this one. Could be a little sketchy. Who you like here, Dave?
All right. So UNC comes in at 3-0. Wins over Minnesota, App State, and South Carolina. Okay? 2-1 against the spread. Pitt comes in at 1-2 with their win over Warford.
Yep.
Ooh. Losses to Cincinnati and West Virginia. They're 1-2 against. I mean, Mike, this one is just, it's just, I don't think it's going to even be close. So Pitt comes in. I mean, they look like shit this year. I'll be honest with you. They look like shit this year. Their starting quarterback completing 50%. You know, they failed to score a touchdown against West Virginia. North Carolina is averaging 34 points a game, and Drake May's not even playing that great yet. And it's Drake May. We know he's good, right? I mean, I'll be honest with you. No. He's going to come out. He's going to ball. Yep. This game, it's just not even going to be close. This one's a Gator Dave lock at -7 there for North Carolina. I am not worried in the least here, Mike. So give me the Tar Heels in this game.
Right.
Not even.
Interesting.
Yes, sir. But we got them too. We got them too. Pittsburgh offense just about made me throw up my phone. There you go. Good job, Ian. I'm with you there, buddy. So we got 6 folks watching. If you got comments, shoot them to us. We'll give you a shout out. Also, please, we need 2 more subscribers to get us to 100. Give me some subscriptions out there, folks. Hit that button. All right, next up. This was a game that Mike threw out there that I have been just back and forth all week. It's the game of the 3-letter U's. SMU versus TCU. So both teams come in with a 2-1 record. SMU wins over Prairie View, Louisiana Tech. They lost to Oklahoma 28-11. TCU wins over Houston and Nicholls State, and they lost to Colorado by 3 and Deion's team in the first game of the year. SMU's 2-1 against the spread. TCU is only 1-2 against the spread. Tanner Mordecai is gone bye-bye from SMU. He's up there at Wisconsin now, feeling the pain. So the Mustangs obviously need a replacement, and they found a pretty good guy. Their sophomore quarterback thrown for 798 yards, 9 touchdowns, while completed 62% of his passes, which ain't too bad. Mustangs ranked 24th in the nation when they come to opposing scoring, conceding only 14 points a game. Horned Frogs not only lost their quarterback, the number 1 wide receiver, they also lost their top 2 running backs to the NFL. But they got this Bailey kid from Louisiana, second year at TCU, done a decent job running at 6.4 yards per carry, racked up 357 yards up to this point. In terms of ability to score points, Horn 25th in the nation. So it's kind of weird how things have now changed with the coaches. Now they're a scoring team and not a defensive team, right? But they're ranked 25th, scoring 40 points a game. They're conceding, however, 21 points a game, which is 61st in the nation. Again, you know, I'm back and forth on this one. I'm just going to go with give me the home team and give me TCU and the 6.5 to cover those 6.5 at home. And we'll see where we go from there. So, what do you say, Mike? I bet you're going SMU. Mm-hmm.
You know I'm going SMU, Dave. You know I'm going SMU.
Yes.
So, yeah, it's the TCU's defense that worries me. I think TCU's offense is still clicking. It's their defense that is giving me pause. So they are good against the run, not so good against the pass. What does Rhett Lashley love to do? Pass the ball. Open it up, air it out. He likes to get the running backs involved. I like Rhett Lashley, a little biased as well. Miami guy. Went to SMU, took a bunch of transfers from Miami who were on their way out, and he ended up picking them up. So it's kind of Miami of the West over there in SMU in Dallas. I think this one is going to be SMU's true test. The problem with them is they really haven't played anybody yet other than Oklahoma. But in that Oklahoma game, I mean, they gave them a game. They were right there. They just kept shooting themselves in the foot kind of every time they got going. They had a bunch of fumbles. They had 3 turnovers to Oklahoma's 0. You can't do that against a Power 5 opponent, especially one like Oklahoma. Oklahoma ended up winning 28-11 in that one. But I think this is a good spot for, with Charlotte on the horizon next week, for SMU to go ahead and not look ahead in this one. They're going to be focused on TCU. This is big time for the state of recruiting, or the state of Texas recruiting as well, SMU and TCU. SMU is also moving up conferences next year, so this is also big for them.
Mike, where are they? Where are they going? I
see you
heard
talking.
They were going.
We have a delay also, so I apologize.
What conference is SMU going to? Is it the AAC?
Yeah, I want to say they were going to the Big 12.
No, dude, they're going to the ACC, buddy. I was messing with you. They're going to the ACC with the two teams from.
Oh shit, you're right. Oh shit,
yeah,
you're right.
See, I was trying to mess with you.
Yeah, they are going to ACC. Yeah, you're right. You're right. It's been a long day, Dave. You can't do that to me, all right? We had technical difficulties. Right. We still have this audio lag. It's frustrating me. All right, man. You can't be throwing these daggers in my back.
Hey,
right?
Mike. But
long story short, give me SMU. We got another head-to-head showdown here. SMU for the outright.
Outright. You taking them the money line?
We got Hindu and a who?
We got a Hindu and a Linda Drinkwine. Do we know a Linda Drinkwine there, Mike?
Oh, no. I'm gonna take them in the points for the show.
Oh, okay.
I'm just letting you know. Okay. We do know a Linda. That's my mother, dude. That's my mama. Shout out Mama Linda.
I kind of figured that, Mike. I kind of figured.
My number one fan.
That is right.
That's right.
I think.
All right, we're moving on here.
Let's do it.
We're going to talk Texas Tech, West Virginia here. Texas Tech, West Virginia. This line it's kind of shifted a little bit. It started somewhere around -4, -4.5. It's gone up now to -6. Texas Tech is sitting at 1-2 in this one after a 1-possession losses to Wyoming and Oregon. Both games that they could have easily won. They should have won that Wyoming game easily. They were up 17-0 to start that one and let it slip away. West Virginia is 2-1 after last week's win against Pittsburgh in the backyard brawl. Like we talked about earlier, holding them to only 6 points. They won 17-6 in that rivalry. I'm not going to dive too deep here. I'm going to keep it short and sweet. Texas Tech is the better team. Texas Tech is going to get the win. They could easily be 3-0 right now and in the top 15. Had that Wyoming and Oregon game gone, just a couple plays to their side. I think they know what's at stake in this one. It's a conference game. Last year, Texas Tech beat West Virginia 48-10 at home. I think it's going to be something similar to that. And Neil Brown, West Virginia's head coach, is going to be back on the hot seat out there in Morgantown. Who do you say here, Dave?
Yeah, I'm with you too. So Tech, like you said, 1-2. Tough losses against Wyoming and Oregon that were close. And Texas Tech was supposed to be one of the up-and-comers in the Big 12 this year and supposedly going to make it happen. But like you said, they've had some tough sledding. West Virginia, just really not all that. They did win over Pitt and Duquesne. And Tech's won the last 3 games, against this team. The Red Raiders come in 84th in the nation in team defense, giving up 25 points a game. The Mountaineers ranked 73rd in defense, giving up 29 points a game. I just think, Texas Tech's had some tough sledding beginning of this year. They definitely are a better team, and much more well equipped. So I'm going the Red Raiders to cover the points as well. All right, let's move on. Next game. Another back and forth game that Mike's put up here. We got UCLA at Utah. Both teams come in at 3-0. UCLA's got wins over Coastal Carolina and the tough North Carolina Central team, as well as San Diego State. They're 2-1 against the spread. Utah beat my Gators first game of the year, but they could have lost that game too if we just got our head out of our ass. They've also beat Baylor, who's really down this year, as well as Weber State. They're 2-1 against the spread. UCLA won this game last year in LA by 10 points. When it comes to scoring, the Bruins are averaging 40 points a game. They're ranked 8th in Division I. When it comes to defense, only conceding 10 points a game. Utes, however, 92nd in scoring. And they are surrendering 10 points a game on the defensive side, which is 10th in the nation, which is pretty darn good. So UCLA's got their freshman quarterback coming in, 5th in the nation in pass efficiency at 205. In his first season as a freshman quarterback, 7 TDs and 1 pick. Not too bad for a freshman. The good news for Utah is I'm about 90% that Cam Rising is going to play, which is going to be good for them. However, he's not going to be at full form. This is going to be his first game. He has practiced, though, the last 2 weeks. So I think he should be okay. The Utes do have a lot of players injured. Their tight end, Brant Kuthi, he's not going to be back. And their starting running back, which is like their running back room's in trouble right now in terms of being banged up. Their starting running back, they call him JJ. He's quite banged up, so it could be an issue there. But with all said, they're playing at home. They're playing at home in Utah, and it's tough to win in Utah. I think the freshman quarterback's going to have a little bit of a problem. This game's going to be close. No ifs, ands, or buts. And it's 4.5 points, but I think Utah can win by a touchdown. So give me the Utes in this one, Mike. You're up.
Yeah, I'm on the other side. We got another head-to-head here, Dave. I just want to say one thing before I get into it. Ian posted in the chat that Texas Tech is dead to him. We got to talk about it just real briefly. Ian did a 20-team parlay, and he went 19-1 because Texas Tech couldn't get it done against Wyoming. Yeah.
Oh my God.
So he said they're blacklisted, and I 100% agree. I don't blame him for that.
I'd be over him too.
Yeah.
I'd be over him too.
So all right. In this UCLA Utah, it just like you said, the big story is going to be Cam Rising, if he plays or not. They're supposed to make an announcement tomorrow, Thursday. The medical team's supposed to either say yay or nay on it. So, take what we say with this. my side, which is UCLA. Get these points while you can, because if Cam Rising does not go, that line is going to drop. UCLA is going to end up being the favorite in this, and you're going to lose out on some points to your side. I personally do not think Cam is going to go in this one. I think he is 1 week away still. That's also kind of why I'm on the UCLA side, because I don't trust Utah's backup quarterbacks to get it done in this one. I think UCLA has enough. I think their defense is stout. They're only allowing 10 points a game this year right now. So it really kind of all comes down to Cam Rising playing for me. I don't think he's going to, which is why I'm on UCLA. I do want to throw in, since Chip Kelly has been at UCLA, Utah and UCLA have played 4 times. Utah has won 3 of those by over 20 points. The only game that Chip Kelly and UCLA won was last year. They were able to win by 10. So I'm on UCLA here. Again, wait for that news tomorrow, whether Cam Rising is going to play or not for Utah, to kind of make your pick or make your decision. But yeah, give me UCLA in the points with this one. All right, Dave, you got Ole Miss, or you want me to take Ole Miss, Alabama?
Yeah, I can take the snapshot here, and then you come in. So we got Ole Miss and Bama, folks. A lot going on here. Ole Miss comes in at 3-0 with wins over Mercer, Tulane, and Georgia Tech. Okay, they covered the spread in all 3 games. Alabama comes in at 2-1 with wins over USF and the mighty MTSU. They did lose at home to Texas. They covered the spread against MTSU, but failed in the other 2 games. So they're 2 against the spread. Bama sat Milroe last week, and that experiment was a shit show. The 2 other quarterbacks looked like crap. Mike talked a little bit about it earlier. I just wonder if they sat him because of something weird or whatever, but because it just didn't make any sense how bad those 2 other guys look. The Tide sit 54th in averaging 30 points per outing. Their defense has given up about 15 points per contest, which is 27th in the nation. Ole Miss comes in at 52 points a game, 4th in the country, and their defense is 36th in the country, which isn't too bad for them. I know the USF game was one of those fluke games, but I honestly think that there's something wrong there at Bama, and I think Ole Miss has enough this year to push it across the line. Granted, if it were 6 points, it'd be nice, but it is 7. So I'm going to take Ole Miss and to cover that 7-point spread, Mike. Tell me about Bama.
Yeah, I'm with you, Dave. I think that, obviously looking from the outside in, Bama has got some issues going on in that locker room right now. If you watched that shit show, as you called it last week, South Florida Bama, I mean, they couldn't do anything. They couldn't do anything at all. But it was to the point where, you could tell by the players' body language that they did not agree with Tyler Buckner getting the start and Simpson coming in when Tyler Buckner struggled and Milroe not taking a snap. Their body language 100% said it. There was a couple plays when Buckner, got sacked or would get tackled, or Simpson would get sacked or tackled. Offensive lineman, instead of picking his quarterback up, kind of looks at him and kind of walks away. There were a couple things, I don't know. So, it's just, to me, obviously we don't know why Saban really made that decision. If you look at Jalen Milroe's stats, they're not bad. in the games that he's played. I mean, obviously he could have maybe
Not bad at
done
all.
some things differently in that Texas game that could have prevented them losing at home. He didn't play. He didn't play so bad enough to get benched, in my opinion. So something's going on there that they're not. Saban's real good about keeping stuff in house for the most part. So, but there's something going on. It's obvious. And the problem is the players have bought into Jalen Milroe as their quarterback, and if Jalen Milroe does not go, that's going to be an issue. So I'm with you in this one. I like Ole Miss to get the cover. I like Lane Kiffin to potentially finally get that win against Nick Saban, against his mentor and potentially his future job once Nick Saban retires, which based off this year could be a little bit sooner than he maybe have intended. But I'm going to go Ole Miss to get the cover at least. I like Jackson Dart. I like the running backs. I like the wide receivers for Ole Miss. Their defense has been playing well. And again, I think this is a game where Ole Miss is licking their chops coming in on Alabama. They see them vulnerable, and Lane Kiffin's going to have them ready to go. So give me Ole Miss in the cover with a potential outright on this one.
Awesome.
All right.
So just remind everybody watching, please, 2 more subscriptions to get us to the infamous 100 subscriptions. So please don't forget about that. Like the video, pop us something here in the chat if you've got something you want to talk about, because we got 4 watching at this point. So let's hit the last official game. So it is to me the biggest game of the week. We've got Ohio State at
Who's counting, Dave? Who's counting?
Notre Dame. So Ohio State comes in the game 3-0, wins over Western Kentucky, Youngstown State, and Indiana. They are 1-2 against the spread in those games. Notre Dame is 4-0 with wins over Navy, Tennessee State, Central Michigan, and their signature win over North Carolina State at this point. They're 3-1 against the spread. Okay, remember that, bettors. Through 4 games, the QB for our buddy that's come from where did he come from? Wake? Did he come from Wake? The quarterback for Notre Dame, Mike. What's his name?
Yeah.
Sam. Yeah. So he's at 71%, 1,061 yards, 13 TDs, and 0 interceptions. So he's doing quite well. Irish haven't scored below 41 points a game, so Hartman's looking pretty damn good. Haven't turned it over yet. Ohio State's defense will be the toughest test, obviously, for Notre Dame. They'll face all year. They've only allowed 6.7 points a game, which we know that has been the Achilles heel for the Buckeyes as of late. They scored 63 points against Western Kentucky last week. So they're looking pretty hot. I think this is just going to be the marquee game. It could be the best game in the next few weeks, in my opinion, because I think we've got 2 teams here that both could be in the playoff, depending on how things fall. But whoever wins has a great chance of being in the playoff, in my opinion. I think in this particular situation, at this time, being at Notre Dame, granted, it's not Ohio State, it's not Michigan, it's not LSU or Florida or Georgia home game, because the Notre Dame home game, they're just not like everybody else. They're a little uppity, But I still think it being a home game that they're going to win this game. So I'm going to give me those 3 points
What you trying
in
to
a
say,
New York
Dave?
minute, and I'm going to take Notre Dame. And I say they could very well win the thing outright without a problem. So, boom. What do you think, Mike?
I like it. I like it a lot. I'm with you. I got Notre Dame +3 in this one. I think they have a shot at winning outright too. Ian says Ohio State are frauds in the chat, and I'm kind of with him right now. Their defense has looked really good. Their running backs are really good. Trayvon Henderson is an absolute dog. He will be playing on Sundays, guaranteed. Their issue is quarterback, and it's a real Marvin Harrison, you're right. Wide receiver Marvin Harrison, absolute stud. They've been pumping out wide receivers at Ohio State. Their issue for me, though, is, again, what I just said, quarterback. Kyle McCord has not impressed me at all. Dude has 3 touchdowns and 1 interception. Now, granted, they haven't really played anybody, but he just looks lost when he's out there. The problem is their backup, Devin Brown, who a lot of Ohio State fans are calling for, some that we know personally, he's not looked good when they've put him in the game. He had an interception against Western Kentucky. Against Indiana, he had -2 passing yards. He just hasn't looked like he's ready to take over those reins. So Ryan Day is kind of in this, like, oh shit moment, I think, for me, where, he was hoping that he would have a quarterback who was clicking, his team would be ready to go going into this game against Notre Dame. And it's kind of not there. You kind of look at the Notre Dame, Ohio State, and it's kind of a polar opposite right now. Notre Dame is clicking. Their chemistry looks like Sam Hartman's been there for 5 years. The defense, Marcus Freeman has that defense rolling. They finally have a quarterback for the first time since, Brady Quinn or Jimmy Clausen. So Notre Dame is going to be a problem. I had them winning this game at the beginning of the year. I have Notre Dame in my Final Four for playoff. Give me Notre Dame. Let's ride the Fighting Irish in this one. That is our 12 that we were going to initially talk about. I know Gator Dave wants to go over some of these other ranked matchups because it's good. It's a good week for football. I'm going to throw up the recap for this week. Gator Dave, if you want to get into the first ranked game that you want to kind of talk about outside of these, go ahead.
Okay. All right. Well, if you want to throw up the recap there and show where we are at this point with the games, I'll throw the games out. It's 4 games that we're talking about. So the hot games, right? The first one, and we've got Ian on here, so we've absolutely got to talk about that one. We've got FSU playing at Clemson. FSU is -5. They come in ranked 4th in the nation. And by the way, Clemson is not ranked. So they're not ranked in this matchup, and FSU comes in ranked number 4, coming in 2.5. FSU had a little bit of a problem last week, obviously. A scare me game up there at Boston College. And Clemson has just, they crapped the bed in the first game against my Duke Blue Devils, which I said was going to be a contender in the division. Granted, I don't think they're going to win the division, but they're going to give people a lot of heartache. So, I think this can be a good game. Obviously, we didn't have a play on this one because
no divisions anymore.
You just don't know. You just don't know. So, Mike, anything else on Florida State Clemson that you thoughts there?
Yeah.
All right.
I don't know. You talked a lot about Cade Klubnik in our preview show, and there were a lot of high hopes for his play this year and kind of taking Clemson back to where Trevor Lawrence, Deshaun Watson, where those guys, Taj Boyd, where they've kind of taken that program to that level since Dabo's gotten there. And it just hasn't happened, visually. On paper, it's just like Kyle McCord for Ohio State. You look at it on paper, he's got 5 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He's got a QB rating of like 140 or something like that, I think. So if you were to just look at that, you wouldn't say that he's the problem. But if you look at that offense, I mean, it is a shell of what it was. Obviously, he's working with some different coordinators than he has been in the past, so there is some trial and error there. But even Will Shipley, I mean, he's still a great running back. He's kind of the reason they're winning right now. He's averaging 7 yards a carry. But that's going to be real tough against this Florida State front. I don't know. It's good. Just like what you said. This was more of a toss-up. That we're just talking football at this point. We'll give you opinions kind of where we are, but we are not going to the window or the kiosk on these games that we're discussing right now. For this reason, on the flip side, Florida State looks good, other than last week against Boston College, where they almost blew their entire season, and you could see Mike Norvell's face turning ghost white on the sideline as he could see it all crumble away, right? They were able to pull it out. For whatever reason, they were really struggling in that second and fourth quarter. Third quarter, they looked great. They looked like they were even going to get the cover in that game. And then Boston College kept chipping, and they were a couple plays away from, pulling that outright upset for a team that I know I was very low on Boston College at the beginning of this year. So, part of that you got to think is a little bit of a look ahead for FSU, looking ahead to this Clemson game. It's at Clemson. This is one of those teams, they, in the past, Florida State and Clemson were in the same division. There's no divisions anymore, so it's just straight up conference play. But this is a team that both of these teams, it's basically been for the last 15 years, Florida State or Clemson coming out of that Atlantic division representing that for the ACC championship. So they know them. They know each other very, very well. It's going to be a tight game. It's going to be a physical game. I look forward to watching it at 12 o'clock. I'm glad it's at that 12 o'clock slot. I think that's a downside for Clemson because obviously they have Death Valley, and that place is a real pain in the ass, if I'm being honest. Me and Charles, who's in our chat right now, we went to the Miami-Clemson game a couple years back, and or maybe it was even, I don't know, it was a nightmare. It was a nightmare. It was tight seating. I do not like Death Valley at Clemson. It's not a fun place to be for opposing fans or teams. It's going to be a good game. I don't really have a play on this either way, but I'm looking forward to it for sure.
Yep, and the next game that's of the two ranked teams, we got Colorado playing Oregon. Oregon's favored by 20 points in this one. I think this one's going to be the reality setting in for Colorado, in my opinion. I mean, they've done a great job up to this point. I mean, kudos to Dion and his boys, and but they're down their player that can play both sides of the ball, and and they're just not going to have the depth they're going to need against this Oregon team, and it's going to be a rough road. I mean, again, we're not playing this being almost 21 points, and who knows with Dion and team. So, but I think it's going to be an entertaining game for sure. But definitely Oregon coming away with a win. Don't know if they'll cover or not, but it should be an exciting game for sure. What do you think, Mike?
Yeah. I'm with you. This is another one that I'm looking forward to. It's at the 3:30 slot on Saturday, so they kind of lined it up night. It's obviously not done on purpose. They don't know what these teams are going to be ranked, come matchup time, but it's going to work out great for us viewers at home. This one is, I don't know. I really don't know. Like you said, you said that this is going to be Colorado's kind of wake up moment. I feel like you've kind of said that every week. You know what I mean? So, and it's not just you. I feel like there's a lot of people that are just kind of waiting. All right, when it's like how I see Brock Purdy with the 49ers. Like the Brock Purdy you and me know from Ohio State Brock Purdy is not the Brock Purdy that we're seeing currently in San Francisco. So, last year I was like, nope, I'm going to wait. I'm waiting for it. When's it's going to happen? And it's not happened yet. I think Colorado is going to come to play in this one for Travis Hunter because, I think he's probably going to be there on the sideline, cheering his guys on. Even if not, Deion's going to use that as momentum, as fuel, that he would be, killed or be out there with them right now. They're going to be emotional. Oregon's defense, I think, is the key in this one. Dan Lanning of UGA. Also, can we talk about Oregon's coach? When, for whatever reason, when that whole Colorado State, Colorado thing was going on, where the sunglasses and the hat and stuff, the reporters out there asked him a question about Colorado and them and Colorado leaving the Pac-12 and, what does that mean for the conference? And Dan Lanning basically said, what have they done lately for the conference to, make it noticeable that they're leaving? More bulletin board for material for old Deion and Colorado. You got to know that they're going to use it. It's personal to Deion and that team. I think that the play, if you were going to do anything in this one, I would look at the first half on Colorado's side. It's probably, plus 10.5, somewhere around there. I think that might be the play. I think it's going to be close early. I think it has a shot to be close late, but it's really going to depend on Shedeur Sanders and those wide receivers being able to complete passes, because I think it's going to be real tough for Dylan Edwards to get it going on the ground. And Colorado's defense is a liability. And Bo Nix, being his 18th year in college football, he's going to be able to expose that and take advantage of it. It's going to be a great game, and I'm looking forward to watching it for sure.
Yeah, I'm with you, Mike. I think that second half is just gonna it's gonna be real, and again it goes back to just the lack of depth. I mean, you can rah all you want, but it's big boy time, and the reality of it is that the depth that Oregon has is gonna be for real. And the other issue is, God forbid that defense goes after Sanders and he gets hurt or something like that, because he's been running for his life against teams that don't have the firepower that Oregon does. So I think maybe that first half's probably a good play, but in the long run, I don't think it's going to be good for them in the long run. So, my opinion.
Yeah.
The next game, we got Oregon. It's the Pac-2. We've got Oregon State.
It definitely hurts, obviously, of Travis Hunter not being out there, because it just, even if they weren't throwing to him, that's a weapon that they got to worry about on both sides of the field. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting for sure.
So the next game we're going to look at was Oregon State in our Pac-2, right? Oregon State and Washington State. Oregon State comes in ranked 14th, and Washington State comes in at ranked 21st. Oregon State comes in at -3 points in this particular game. So obviously going to be a big matchup. It's the end of the Pac-12. It's now the Pac-2, and now the rumor that I've seen coming out earlier today was that these two teams could be going in the Big 12 is what is rumored at this point. So, we should know more maybe in the next couple of days. But this is another good game to watch. You've got, these two teams that are playing well right now. Our boy DJ from Clemson is the quarterback for Oregon State, and both teams are rocking. I mean, they haven't lost, and doing quite well. So, to me, this one might come down to the home team, because it's not easy to play there in Pullman. So we'll see how this one goes, but it should be quite entertaining. What do you think here, Mike?
Oh, I think this is a game I'm not going to probably be watching, Dave. That's what I think. This is going to be a highlight game for me, and it was not on our list for good reason, because I still do not know what I'm getting with either one of these teams. Washington State, Cameron Ward at quarterback. He's a beast. He can get it done. He can sling it all over the field. And then on the flip side, you got Oregon State, their quarterback, like you said, DJ Uiagalelei from Clemson, who got to be grinning from ear to ear right now, knowing that his team is ranked 14th and undefeated, and Clemson is not ranked at all. You got to think that that is just music to his ears, because he was basically forced out of Clemson, like Dabo has done to previous quarterbacks during his tenure there. But the biggest thing I think for me is Oregon State's defense. They are real. And if they're able to make Cam Ward, if they can kind of take away that run game for Washington State and make Cam Ward more a little one-dimensional rather than have that ability to kind of scramble and get out of the pocket to, free up some receivers, I think it could be a problem for Washington State. I think Oregon State has a real good opportunity to go in there and potentially get the win and continue their climb. But again, this one it's sketchy. It's sketchy. I don't think I'm going to touch it with a 10-foot pole at all. But real quick, I do want to say shout out to everybody watching right now. We really appreciate you. Gator Dave mentioned it a couple times earlier in the show, but we are 2 subscribers away from 100. That is our current goal. So please help us get there. If possible, please like the video as well. Jump in the chat. Let us know what's up. We'd love to hear from you. I think, how many ranked games are we talking here as kind of like a bonus? How many we got left?
We got one more. We just got Iowa and Penn State.
Right on.
That's all we got left. So we've got number 24 Iowa playing against number 7 Penn State. It's a whiteout. So Penn State getting 14 points in this one. Should be another fun game with 2 teams playing that are undefeated. Now, Penn State getting all the love right now. They're going to contend with Ohio State and Michigan. I think it's a bunch of crap. I'll be honest with you. If I were betting this game, I'd probably take Iowa in the points, because I think their defense can be enough to hold them to about 14. Penn State's going to win, but I wouldn't mind putting a little pizza money on this one and thinking Iowa might win it, because I think Iowa's probably the only team that's even half worth of crap in the Big Ten West, because it's that group is a bunch of misfits. So that's kind of what I think on this game, Mike. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. Again, obviously we left these off for a reason. They're a little toss-uppy, and we wanted to give you guys some better plays if we could. But having said that, the over/under being at 40.5 and the spread being at 14.5, that's concerning for the favorite. That is concerning. That doesn't line up well. So if you consider that, like a 27-13 game, at that 14.5, Iowa's covering that. And I think that's kind of where this game is going to be, right around that 27-13. If this game was at Iowa, I think you're right. I think they would have a chance at winning this one outright. For whatever reason, Iowa plays completely different at home. Kirk Ferentz has those guys ready to go at home versus on the road. I don't know what it is, but they do play better at home. I think Manny Diaz and that Penn State defense, they're going to be aggressive. They're going to look to make Cade McNamara make bad decisions. And I think it's really going to be a matter of if Iowa can establish the run game early and kind of get some points on Penn State early, then they'd have a good shot. If Penn State is able to go right down the field running the ball and Drew Aller's able to get a couple touchdowns and they have 14 at half, good luck, Iowa. I don't think it's going to happen. Iowa needs to keep Penn State at 1 touchdown in the first half if they want to be in this game, in my opinion. That's a lot of points. 14. I would lean the under, but again, like I don't want nothing to do with it.
Yeah. That's why we left them off and just wanted to touch on those hot games this week. So, Mike, I'm thinking maybe you put put our list up there at the end that just one more time so everyone can see what we ended up with on the games that we liked, and as we move out of week 4 here. And again, we appreciate everyone that's watched the show today, all are parts of it. Again, if you have not subscribed, please do so we can get to our 100. We're only a couple away. Like the video so we can keep this thing pressing on every week. And there's what it looks like. So Mike, week 1, 2, 3. So we're half and half, right? So we only agree on six games. Is that what it looks like? So it's a make or break this week, baby. Make or break. So look forward to
so 6 and 6. Six head to head and 6 that we're lined up on. So we got a little more showdown going on.
Yeah.
But you see that medal, it's no longer on your side there, Dave. Medal's no longer on your side. It's a little lost. So we'll see if you can get it back.
There is no medal, so we'll see how we go. So Mike, it's another great show. Appreciate everything, and we look forward to these games. And last but not least, go Gators!
All right, Dave. I appreciate you, sir. Good luck this week. Go Canes against Temple. No slip-ups, please. We're leaving that in the past. Leave it in the past. Same with the Gators against Charlotte. Good luck. Good luck to our guy Ian. Florida State against Clemson. And appreciate you being in the chat, man. Appreciate everybody for joining. Appreciate everybody that jumped in the chat. Please like and subscribe like Gator Dave said. It really helps us out. Wow, I got real country with that. It really helps us. All right, y'all. Thank you again. We'll be back next week, next Wednesday, 7:30 live here on YouTube. Peace.